You know, we're really lucky to have Glenn. He's a team player, problem solver. People seek him out for advice, and I think that's very important. As we don't have to direct people to HR. They look at him truly as a tool and an asset to help in our day-to-day business. And there's not much that Glenn and his team are not involved in. We're very lucky to have Glenn on our staff, and he is very deserving of the recognition that he's received here.
Glenn, I don't know that I'll ever have another leader like him. He is a visionary. He sees the big pictures, and he is not the type of individual that hesitates to get into the weeds of things. Whatever needs to get done, Glenn will take care of it, make sure that any issues that come forth or initiatives that need to be driven are done in a timely fashion. He has a high sense of urgency, and he's one of the type of leaders that truly leads by examples, and I think most of us can only aspire to be like him.
I would describe Glenn as being unflappable. He's got a lot of things going on. He's got a lot of different areas that report to him, and I have never seen him get flustered or upset with anything. Another big thing would be there's a real air of appreciation. I don't think I have ever worked for somebody who acknowledges what you do and thanks you for what you did nearly as much as Glenn does. And I think that makes a real difference in being here every day and knowing that what you're doing is really appreciated.
The executive management team has a great relationship with HR, specifically with Glenn. In many cases, executive management may look at HR as a necessary evil, but in this case, they look at Glenn and the HR department as a true partner, problem solver, somebody that can help them become more efficient, better at what they do, and really manage the employees and help with employee relationships.
Glenn has introduced the business partner model here at EDD, which reflects his belief that his team can each be an agent of change. So we are able to support the different functions in the organization and be able to provide creative solutions to some of the problems that are faced on a day-to-day basis.
Probably the biggest thing that has taken place during Glenn's tenure here was the consolidation of our San Carlos location down here to Torrance. And that was a pretty major thing to do. There were a few hundred people up there. It was an entire separate business unit that was merged down here into Torrance. Glenn was not only involved, obviously, in any of the HR-related aspects of that, but also with all of the facilities things that needed to take place and environmental health and safety items that needed to be taken care of, since all of those fell under his umbrella. So he had a lot of different balls in the air during that, and that was a pretty big undertaking here.
People seek him out to actually help with any problems they may be having with their supervisors, or vice versa, supervisors with their employees. And he really helps bring the young groups up to take on new roles and more responsibility. He's big on empowerment. So I think those are some of the key drivers that makes Glenn successful.
Glenn is one of the best communicators I have ever met. He is always accessible, whether it be after hours or on the weekend. He wants to make sure that things are addressed with a high sense of urgency, and that type of leadership can only be accomplished through leading by example.
Some of Glenn's key initiatives, and there's many, as I mentioned earlier, the mentoring program. He's also was able to bring in a lot of funding from California ETP to help us on training of new employees. We just recently consolidated facilities from a San Carlos division down to Torrance. We hired 200 plus employees, I think somewhere around 250. And that training was essential to bring them up. We have a very specialized technology, and Glenn really was able to leverage the support from the state of California to get new employees up to the level that we needed them for these positions.
So my name is Glenn Grindstaff. I've been with L3 Communications for 8 years now, and I'm the Vice President of Human Resources and Administration. Well, the reason I chose L3 was I was at a point in my career where I'd worked for some large aerospace and defense companies as well as some medium-sized high-tech companies, and both have their pros and their cons and their advantages and disadvantages, and I was looking for a way to blend both those interests, the large resources of a large company and the entrepreneurial, innovative spirit of a medium-sized and smaller company. And L3 Technology offered those kinds of resources for me to do just that. And as I got into L3, I started with one of their smaller divisions and then moved into some of their larger divisions to increase my scope and responsibility. And it's proven to be exactly what I hoped it would be. Lots of opportunity and innovation and a lot of new things to do. So I'm fortunate to be blessed with a very solid HR team, a lot of good people, a lot of good talent. And with that, what I'm trying to do is to instill in them the idea that HR has transitioned from being an administrative function into a true strategic business partner, thought partner, if you will. We've modeled an HR business partner model here in HR to service our client groups, if you will. And what I'm trying to instill in them is the mindset of HR is in that true partnership, very proactive, part of their staff, an integral part of their team, who offers tools and resources and solutions from an HR point of view, as opposed to just administrative hire and fire and answer benefit questions. So I learned about the nomination by surprise. I was called into a conference room here where the president was and most of my staff, and I thought, this is an interesting dynamic. I'm either getting a public flogging or I'm being fired, or something good might happen. So fortunately, something good happened. And as a result of that, I was truly humbled and very pleasantly surprised and honored for this nomination. And it's a team effort. I'm just fortunate to have a great team to be able to accomplish the things that we've been able to accomplish together.